Aung San Suu Kyi was once jailed for her peaceful and heroic demonstrations against a dictatorial regime. Now, the very people and organizations that lauded her and compared her to Gandhi accuse her of participating in a genocide. Suu Kyi, the daughter of two revolutionary but very significant politicians within Myanmar, began much of her pro-democracy activism in the 80s. She led parades and protests until she was put under house arrest in 1989, set free and put under house arrest again due to her advocacy for a more democratic government. The international community, recognizing her sacrifices and support of nonviolent activism, bestowed upon her the Nobel Peace Prize, the Sakharov Prize for Freedom of Thought, and the Ambassador of Conscience Award from Amnesty International, and she even received an award from the Holocaust Museum. 2 of these 4 awards have now been withdrawn now that she holds significant political power. Suu Kyi would later achieve her goal of a democratic government in Myanmar, sort of. Although there are no longer military juntas completely controlling everything, the military still has a large amount of power through various measures. And in 2016, Suu Kyi would run for the equivalent of prime minister and win. But now that she is in power, she has helped cover up and ignore an ongoing genocide within Myanmar. The Rohingya people, minority people within Myanmar, have been historically oppressed for years. The UN recognizes them as one of the most persecuted minority groups in the world, and for good reason. Rohingya people living in Myanmar do not have citizenship, meaning they are literally not protected by the laws of the country. That lack of legal protection has been abused by Myanmar's military to do basically whatever they want to the Rohingya. Entire communities have been devastated with concentration camps, systemic murder, and forced relocation. Persecution within Myanmar has gotten so bad that nearly 1 million people have been estimated to have fled the country. Suu Kyi's role within this conflict has been that of an obstructionist, a denier, someone who refuses to acknowledge or even address an ongoing genocide.
We campaigned for many years for Aung San Suu Kyi's freedom, and we have been so shocked by the way that she has talked about this particular situation. She has described the Rohingya as lying. She said they burnt their own homes down. She's talked about fake rape. It has been one of the most disappointing experiences to see somebody who we had such faith in behave in this way.
Suu Kyi has consistently said that the violence against the Rohingya is exaggerated, has claimed Myanmar is only targeting militant groups, has refused to even call the Rohingya by their name in fear of lending them any sort of legitimacy. Meanwhile, satellite pictures showed whole towns burned down, and refugees continued to flee to Bangladesh in the hope of escaping the horrible fates of their neighbors. Suu Kyi fought for democracy. She fought for free speech, and against dictatorial military control of government. She fought for human rights. But now, she fights against the critics of legalized murder. She fights against the critics of declaring groups of people unpersons, and she fights against the critics of decimating and removing an ethnic group that has lived in Myanmar for over 1,000 years. Aung San Suu Kyi used to be a symbol of peace and nonviolence, but now, she is as bloody as a sword.